Today we are pleased to have a guest speaker. Jodi Miller is here. There's my light. There we go. Jodi Miller will be speaking with us today. She will be encouraging us to have the courage to change something in our life. Now, I have a little backstory to this. This past August, she and Mark asked me to help them have a ceremony for them to renew their marriage vows on their 22nd anniversary. And let's give them a hand. That is bold the first time around, that is even bolder the second time around. So at that moment in time, I didn't really know what her job as the Deputy Director of Indiana Addictions Issues Coalition was. And so we talked a little bit about that, and I said, well, you know, this sounds like something that might be a really interesting message for Entry Point. Would you be willing to talk about that? And she said, yes, I would do that. So was the seed back in August, and so today is the end product of that. And I'm excited to hear about Jodi's work, not only in her personal life, but in her professional life. She's made a huge difference in this world. So we will hear from her in just a few minutes. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we have a welcome gift for you, and you will discover that we do church very differently from what you may be used to. And if you have questions about that, or you would like to give me feedback afterwards, I would love to hear your reactions to experiencing this service for the first time. Today, we continue our 2020 pledge drive. Please take some time today to think about your relationship to this faith community, and remembering that we are an independent faith community and we have no allegiance or financial support from a greater denomination. So think about how you might be able to help sustain us regarding your time and your talent and your treasure. Do you struggle to believe that you can change anything? Bad habits, the difference in the way that you move about your day, your schedule, the way you view the world. If you struggle to believe that change is possible, today's service will be of help to you.
If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that love can break your heart when you're down so low you cannot fall, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction, what cause and effect makes you turn around, makes you try and explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. If you knew that you would be alone, knowing right, being wrong, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would find the truth brings out pain that can be soothed, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? would you change? If you broke every rule and vow, and hard times come to break you down, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? Would you change? Would you change? God is my light in darkness. Oh, God is my all in
Everything that I found, praise the Lord. Worship Christ with the best of your voice. I know I won't forget all He's done. He's the strength in this race that I run. Every time I look up, I see God's faithfulness, and it shows just how much He is miraculous. I can't keep it to myself. I can't sit here and be still. I will tell the whole world that it's Him.
King, Lord of Lords, all the things He has shown, from rich to the poor, all are welcome through His door. You will never be the same when you call on Jesus' name. Listen to the words I'm saying. Jesus said, now I'm saved.
And I know God is the voice that picked me up. I know Christ is the fountain that filled my cup. I know God is a light, yeah. He's opened up my vision, giving me a revelation, yeah.
Jesus brought a revolution. All the captives are forgiven. Time to break out of the prison. Every man, every woman that was freedom from addiction. Jesus got my soul. Sunday service on a roll.
All the idols that I know, all the demons that I know. This is a vision, not a show. This is my eternal soul. This my gift, this my grip, this my wife, this my life, this my God given right. And you, Jesus, are the light. That's what God is.
That's what God is.
That's what God is.
Yes, God, you are. You are the ear that listens, the strength that never wavers, and the wind under our tired wings. You are the higher power we depend on when we face changes in our lives. Change is one of those things each and every one of us face at some time or another. Some changes we welcome without a moment's thought, like the leaves that burst into changing colors each fall here in our part of this beautiful world. I feel sorry for those who have never experienced that change. Other changes can sneak up on us and take us by surprise. Then there are gradual changes, like the rapidly evolving world of technology, for instance, that yields almost a change du jour. And the time it once took us to dial a number on a rotary phone to reach just one person, we can now reach thousands around the world. We went from a scrapbook to Facebook in less than a decade. Other changes, God, we knew were coming, but we still found ourselves woefully unprepared when they happened. Children leaving, empty nests, parents growing older and turning into the children we needed us to be their parents. That list is long. In many ways, God, nobody likes change if it affects the routine. We seem to have a tendency to get very comfortable and stuck in our ways. That brings to mind the changes that we've had to go through here at Entry Point. A number of years ago, we made some difficult decisions and made some drastic changes that many were sure would fail. Yet here we are, God, small but determined to keep our doors open, our door to you. Each year at this time, we worry and think and pray about how we'll somehow find the time, talent, and treasures we just talked about to greet another year here at Entry Point. But we know you'll help us once again to find our way. As 2019 winds down at the dizzying speed it always does this time of year, allow us to lean on you to find the strength we need to survive our ever-changing lives and the acceptance of things we have no power over. That is when our power source is you and only you. And so, God, we say to you this morning, we know you must expect change and accept change, but the one thing you must promise will never change, never ever change, is you. Never change, God. Please. Our lives depend on it. Amen.
At 20 years of age, I'm still looking for a dream. The war is already waged for my destiny, but you've already won the battle and you've got great plans for me. Though I can't always see, past that couple days in my window. Got a couple rips in my jeans, trying to fit the pieces together. The perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so clumsy. But on your shoulders I can see I'm really me. When I was just a girl, I thought I had it figured out. See, my life would turn out right, and I'd make it here somehow. But things don't always come that easy, and sometimes I would doubt. 'Cause I got a couple twists in my finger, got a couple rips in my jeans, trying to put the pieces together. The perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so clumsy. But on your shoulders I can see I'm really me. And you're really you. Sometimes I believe that I can do anything, yet other times I think I got nothing good to bring. But you look at my heart and you tell me that I've got all you see. Oh, and it's easy to believe, even though I got a couple things in my finger, got a couple things in my jeans, trying to put the pieces together. The perfection
start off by thanking Nancy, first of all, for putting together a beautiful ceremony for our renewal of our vows back in August on our anniversary. That was such a nice day, and thank you so much for planting that seed to share my story here at church today. So here it goes. September is National Recovery Month, so part of my job is to plan a large recovery rally in downtown Indianapolis at Military Park this year. A social work professor from Ball State, my alma mater, had attended the rally and reached out to see if I would do an interview for a textbook that she and another professor are writing that includes personal stories about addiction. During the interview, she asked me the question, how does someone like yourself get to be the deputy director for the Indiana Addictions Issues Coalition, which is my current position with Mental Health America of Indiana? I know that's a mouthful. Well, my reply was, I'm gonna have to go back and start from the beginning of my life to help you get a better understanding of the question. I'm not gonna go back and share my whole life story today, but I am gonna go back to a very low time in my life, a little over 10 years ago, when it felt like everything was falling apart and couldn't get any worse. The actual date was Sunday, September the 13th, 2009. It was a 1 p.m. Colts regular season opener against the Tennessee Titans. The weather was absolutely beautiful that day, a high of 80 degrees, and the sky was bright blue, filled with cumulus clouds, the ones that are fluffy and look like you can float on them. I remember what I was wearing that day. Jean shorts, an army green V-neck t-shirt with little cuff sleeves and brown buttons up the front. I had my flip-flops on and my hair was pulled up in a clip. I can still remember the smell of pizza rolls and chicken wings cooking in the oven in our kitchen. I can remember so many little details about that day. Not because it was a beautiful day and the Colts won, but because it was the worst day of my life. That was the day that I surrendered to my alcoholism and said out loud for the first time to my little boys, I'm an alcoholic, and sometimes alcoholics make very bad decisions. I had hit rock bottom, and what I was about to lose was more important than continuing on the path that I was on. That is my sobriety birthday. The next day, one of my sisters suggested that I call and get help, which I did. Like Wayne Dyer says in The Shift, you are only a thought away from changing your life. That single thought and action I took that day has changed my life for the better. I was connected to a recovery community of people that share the same story with different details. I knew from the very first meeting that I was in the right place and that God was in it, something I've been looking for my whole life. I started attending meetings on a regular basis and working a program of recovery, which includes admitting powerlessness, believing in a power greater than myself, taking personal inventory, making amends, prayer and meditation, serving others, and carrying the message of hope to the still suffering. I decided within the first few months of recovery to make peace bracelets for my family and friends for Christmas, which has led into a small business called Peace Sisters. I also made the decision to go back to our church, The Garden, where our boys had been baptized at Beef and Boards with Linda McCoy when they were babies. It just so happened to be the same time that The Garden moved up to Oak Hill Mansion in Carmel, just a few minutes from our home. I soon realized that we needed to get involved with service work. So I volunteered our family to be on the hospitality team. We showed up early to make coffee, set up the donuts and bagels and cream cheese, and yes, we used to have bagels. And the best part was getting to work alongside our dear friend Lottie. She gave the best hugs. I miss her. It didn't take long before we got more involved. Ben started helping Sean with the video work. Nate was the official juice boy. And Mark ended up being part of the leadership team that helped develop Entry Point. Diane asked me to be part of the prayer team. The thought of getting up at church and sharing a prayer that I had written seemed kind of scary. But saying yes was one of the best decisions I ever made. I guess you can say that it is no mistake that Diane just happened to be on the prayer schedule for my service today. Thanks, Diane, for your beautiful prayer and being part of my journey. Our family involvement with Entry Point continued as Nate moved into the video work position that Ben was doing. Both of our boys used their skills to get involved at Carmel High School's radio station. Nate ended up receiving international awards. Ben played in the band here a few times and even shared his music talent by playing my favorite Foo Fighters song, Learn to Fly. He's now living in Denver, Colorado, doing a music production and audio engineering internship in a recording studio. He's playing music and living his dream. Nate is a freshman at Ball State, pursuing a future in film and video work. I guess you could say that the service work here at Entry Point gave them wings to fly. The friendships here at Entry Point have been very important to our family over the years. My special friendship with Carolyn and Elmer Olson started many years ago when they invited me to their home to watch the Wayne Dyer movie, The Shift, from the videos today. I could really relate to so many things from the movie in my own life and recovery. Wayne Dyer talks about finding your life purpose and how there's a place deep within us that wants to know that our life has made a difference. He says that we live in a world where all things are possible and there are no accidents. There is a divine organizing intelligence that supports all things. Watching the movie made me realize that I had experienced a quantum moment in my own life, and that God was doing for me what I could not do for myself. I continued to get more involved in the recovery community and decided to further my education by receiving coaching certifications, one in health and wellness and the other in peer recovery. I decided I wanted to work with women. I took meetings into the women's jail and did an aftercare program. I did an internship at a treatment facility and ended up working as a women's coordinator in their Supporting Living program. I was also asked to sit on the board for the Indiana Addictions Issues Coalition. I recently saw an interview with comedian Kevin Hart on the Today Show talking about the car accident that almost took his life. This is what he said. You know, when God talks, you gotta listen. I swear, life is funny because some of the craziest things that happen to you end up being the things that you needed most. In this case, I honestly feel like God basically told me to sit down. You know, you're moving too fast. You're doing too much. Sometimes you can't see the things that you're meant to see. But after my accident, I see things differently. I can relate. I believe that I saw the face of God and love in my boy's eyes that beautiful September day in 2009. I was given a gift and a new opportunity. What felt like a curse and the worst possible day of my life has turned out to be one of my biggest blessings and what I call my peace journey. I might have a couple dents in my fender, a couple rips in my jeans, But today, I get to be the mom, the wife, the daughter, the sister, peace sister that is, and friend that I always wanted to be. I'm free to be me. I get to walk in my purpose and do things I never imagined. I went to Washington, D.C. to meet with our legislators on Capitol Hill over the summer. The same professor that interviewed me from Ball State invited me to speak in a human behavior class. And now we are planning a town hall to help build a coalition and recovery community for students on campus. The same campus that my parents, my sister, myself, and now Nate walks on. This week, I get to be a speaker at an annual gratitude meeting, and I will be taking a recovery meeting into the women at Marion County Jail on Thanksgiving morning, a tradition I love. That is how I get to be the deputy director for the Indiana Addictions Issues Coalition. There are moments in life that change everything. The shift happened when I became grateful for the struggles and started working with others and sharing my story of recovery and hope. I now know for sure that God's plan is always for good and so much better than I could have ever planned myself. Last weekend, we got to see Elvis Costello perform at the Palladium, and this song inspires me. Today, I know peace in my life comes from sharing love with others, and I now have an understanding that God is the force that picked me up and gave me the courage to change. Thank you.
As I walk through this wicked world, searching for light in the darkness of insanity, I ask myself, is all hope lost? Is there only pain and hatred and misery? Each time I feel like this inside, there's only one thing I wanna know. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Now walk on through troubled times. You know my spirit gets stuck downhearted sometimes. Where are the strong? Who were the trusted? And where is the harmony, a sweet harmony? Oh, each time I feel it slipping away, it just makes me wanna cry. What's so fun about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so fun about peace, love, and understanding?
us with this faith community this morning. Susie Montgomery, it was wonderful to see you up here singing this morning. Jodi, thank you. Jodi, thank you very much for an important message for us to all hear and hold in our hearts this week. Next week, I will be speaking about the gift of love that we receive from our pets. So please make plans to attend and bring your dog-loving friends with you next week. Have a great Sunday and go in peace. Amen.